Hello, and welcome to the first in the EdTA Town Hall webinar series. These webinars are here to help you get the most out of your membership and also learn some of the inner workings of EdTA, get to know some of the EdTA staff and some of our members who are experts in different areas. So tonight's topic is the theater education community. I'm Julie Theobald, the Executive Director of the Educational Theater Association. And I'd like my distinguished guests here to introduce themselves.
I'm next on the list there, so I'll go. I'm Josh Kauffman. I am a theater teacher, drama club sponsor for the Winfield City School District. And my wife and I also run a community theater in town that keeps us pretty busy. And I'm just happy to be here.
And I'm Ginny Butsch. I'm the Community Engagement Manager for EdTA, and I was one of the original lucky few who got to help build the community from the ground up.
And Ginny, why don't you tell us why you selected Josh to be on our webinar today?
Yes, I selected Josh because there are always some people in the community who really stand out to me as being always helpful and kind and engaged. And Josh is definitely one of those people. He has a lot of experience and is always really helpful for everyone.
Great. So we're going to spend about 30 minutes with Ginny and Josh presenting some material, and then we will open it up for questions that you can put in the chat box. Ginny?
Okay, so I'll start by explaining what exactly the theater education community is. It's a public, free, online discussion forum for the field of theater education. All experience levels are welcome here to participate by creating an account with just a valid email. So you can be a brand new theater teacher, or you can be, a lighting designer on Broadway. If you have a question or need advice or want to give advice, then community is the place for you. And I also wanted to just touch on the fact that if you're brand new to EdTA, this is not a webinar where we're going to deep dive into step-by-step tutorials, but there is a brand new to community page on our website where you'll find videos and written instructions and library resources and all kinds of things that can go through the basics with you. Before we get started, Josh, can you tell us a little bit about your first visit to the community and how you found it and what you might have thought about it?
Well, the community came into being around the same time that I started teaching, and as someone who did not get originally certified to teach, I got a teaching certificate because I wanted to get involved with it long after graduating from college. So I wanted all the help that I could get, and through some searching around on the web for resources for teachers and trying to find out about getting a thespian troupe started in my school, I came across this community, and I lurked for a little while and then asked a couple of shy questions and kind of worked my way into feeling like I was a part of that community, able to both give and receive valuable advice. And it's been something that I check multiple times a day.
Awesome. That is always something I love to hear. So in this webinar, we're going to talk about how to really make yourself stand out and improve your community experience. And the first way that we're going to talk about is just how to improve your profile and make it really stand out and show everything that you are to the community. So it gives others the chance to learn more about you, and it can help to shape your reputation in the theater education field as well. It's kind of like a resume. We're going to explore the different features of your community profile and make sure that you are using them to the best of their ability. And before we move on, Josh, before we go into the depths of it, can you tell me if there are a few specific people in the community whose advice stands out to you?
I can. There's always a few people that when you see their name and their profile picture, you can count on getting some good advice from. Just for a broad-based, generally has something to offer on just about any topic you have to name. Shira Schwartz is a great resource. Also, if you are looking for information on either on writing plays or issues of copyright and taking care of the author's work and making sure that all that is, like anything about that, Jonathan Dorff is about as close to an expert as I've seen online, and he tends to be really great with people without being overbearing or, you know, any of those things that sometimes people get, especially, you know, you have that odd playwright that gets very like significant and precious, and he's proud of his work, but he's also understanding that there's a lot of people that don't know what's going on with protecting authors' work and paying the rights and requesting, you know, he's great. He's a great resource for any question about things like that. As I looked over the bulletin board to see what are the people I really like count on and rely on, I came across a bunch of great names. Jennifer Jordan and David Simpson and CJ Breland are all people that give very articulate and polite and detailed responses to things. And I also saw that there's a lot of people who do that their program is very different from mine. So like, don't take my word for it. I would encourage you just to dive in and look around at some of the posts that have topics within your interests and see who posts the best responses. And, you know, you can kind of see who you can begin to count on for reliable advice as you interact with folks.
That's perfect. And you know, what's interesting is that a lot of people that Josh named, I think all of them actually, have a recognizable profile photo that helps that memory really stick, and it helps us build a relationship with them. When we were building community, we relied heavily on member feedback to ensure that it was a necessary resource that was going to be used often. There were concerns that other forums promoted anonymity by allowing screen names or avatars, and that can lead to bullying or acting unprofessionally. So we wanted to encourage others to use a professional profile picture to hold users accountable and to help foster those real life connections. Everyone would rather talk to a person rather than a robot or just a generic person online. And adding a profile picture and posting regularly in the community is a fantastic way to build a really positive reputation and establish yourself as a resource for your colleagues. So when you're choosing your photo, you should think pretty carefully about it. Remember that it's something that's going to help others remember and recognize you, as well as builds trust. So it's important that it's clear and shows an unobstructed view of your face. You don't need to invest in professional headshots or anything like that. The annual photo for the school yearbook is perfect. Or if there's a photography class at your school, or even if you just have a friend take a photo against a solid colored wall, that works too. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I usually recommend avoiding selfies, but if you can crop it in just the right way, then that would be okay too. Okay, next we're going to talk about your bio. One of the questions that we hear frequently is, what kind of information do I put in my bio? Or, I don't like to talk about myself. Well, this is the part of the forum where you get to brag a little bit about yourself and tell us things that are important to you. Think about what you would like people to know, specifically what you would like your colleagues to know. Think about the kind of things you tell your students to put in their show program bios and adapt it for your own use. It's usually about a paragraph long, maybe 3 or 4 sentences, and you should write it in your own language. There are over 12,000 members in the community now, so there are tons of examples out there if you want to peruse the member directory and get some examples and ideas and inspiration for your own. And oh, Josh, why don't you tell us about the kinds of things that you put in your bio?
Well, I see your bullet points on this slide, and these are all great things, great jumping off points. I look at the bio the same way that you would look at like the bio that you would put in a playbill if you're involved in a play. Things that you want your reader or your audience to know about you, maybe something that might, especially in this community, I put that I also teach English, and I've had contact from other people who teach English as well as theater because they know that we have that common ground to ask a question from. So your bio can be a prompt for people to look at what kind of folks to engage with, or just to get them to know a little bit about like who you are, what your priorities are, and what you're up to in your life.
Exactly. Now, the signature part of community is probably the most undervalued part of the community. I think it's really incredible what you can do with it, but often it's just used as a name, job title, maybe city and state. This appears below every post that you make. So if you participate regularly, it will bring some extra attention to the work that you do. It's a great place to link your program's website or share information about the roles that you play beyond theater teacher, or add a little personality with a favorite theater quote. Also keep in mind that if you reply to a post from the Daily Digest by email, that's going to pull over your email signature, so it won't use your community signature. If you want that community signature to show up, you just need to post through the website or through the community app. And next we have digital ribbons. So if you visited anyone's profile in the community, you've noticed that we've had these beautiful ribbons and badges alongside their profile, like right under their profile picture. And this idea came about because everyone loves the physical ribbons that we have on the badges at EdTA conferences and festivals. And we kind of jokingly call them peacock feathers, but we wanted to transfer that element of recognition and fun into the community. We built ribbons and badges for all kinds of purposes so that really anyone had a chance to get some. Some are very easy. They can be earned by participating in the community. And even doing something as simple as posting a blog will get you a blogger ribbon. But others are harder to obtain, like earning an honor chapter badge or being inducted into the EdTA Hall of Fame. On the New to Community page that I mentioned earlier, you'll find a list of every ribbon along with an explanation of how to earn them. If that's really interesting to you, you can go there and check it out. If you visit Josh's profile, for example, you'll find out all kinds of things from his ribbons, like he's an EdTA professional member, he's a thespian troupe director, even a thespian alum, and he's also a platinum most valuable member in our community, which means that he's a regular participant and he's lent some great advice over the years. It gives you a quick and easy way to recognize individuals like Josh who are knowledgeable about all the different components of EdTA and IGS. And right under those digital badges are social links. They are a great way to let people know more about you and what you're working on. If you have a blog or YouTube channel that are related to theater education, this is such a great place to put them. You can make it easy for your colleagues to find different resources just by providing the direct link. And to add those, all you have to do is just click on that social link button, and then you can pick anything from Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, more. Pretty much anything you can think of could be linked here. Next, we'll cover searching. So the community has been around for over 5 years, and there are over 6,000 different discussion topics. Odds are good that someone out there has had that exact same question about finding Audrey 2 puppets or what to do at an induction ceremony. So before you post a new question, it's always a great idea to do a quick search just to see if you already have the answers there. Josh, can you tell us, maybe give us an example of something you have learned or discovered by searching through the community?
Well, there's an awful lot of shows that a lot of us take on, and when we've done productions like Mary Poppins or Annie or Arsenic and Old Lace, you know, they have some specific needs. Someone else has had those questions, and if you can come up with the right keywords to plug into a search string, you can very often find something to answer your question without having to post another question that's been answered by somebody else. But I do always like when I don't find the answer, because it means I get to be the first one to ask it. But I find that opportunity happening less and less as more people are posting their questions and answering them for each other.
So to start searching, you can find it on any page of our website. It's always right there over to the right in the blue navigation bar. It searches the community and our website to bring you the best results. But when you get the results, there'll be some filters over to the left, and that will allow you to search by page content, which means EdTA content, so staff member created, or user content, which is community generated content, depending on the kind of information that you need. So as you scan this list right here, I am sure some of these terms stand out as things that you might need help with. There have been many, many posts about all of these subjects. These are our most popular search terms. So if you need recommendations for a short comedy or tips on creating Cinderella's transformation dress, you will definitely find them with a quick search. And I'll just discuss some quick search tips with you to help you maximize the results that you find. I always recommend starting broad to narrow. So if you're looking for something like Cinderella's transformation dress, you know, start small and then expand from there. Don't be afraid to play around with the search results either. The column over to the left that I mentioned previously gives you so many different filters and options to help you find exactly what you are looking for. You can also try different variations of the same term, so maybe plural or singular, and then also think of all the synonyms or different ways that you might ask for something. Think about if you're asking for, you know, a costume, how many different ways could someone think about that? And then next we'll move on to the community features, which are particularly exciting for me. EdTA and Higher Logic, our community platform, are always working together to find ways to improve the community. And a lot of these ideas and suggestions come from members of the community. You can always send them to me, and I keep track of them, and I'll give feedback to Higher Logic, and they use their clients' feedback and actually create some of these things. So two exciting and highly requested features that were added earlier this year are @mentions and participation notifications. And also, did you know that we have an app? @mentions are widely used on various platforms, not just in our community. They're used on social media sites like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, but also for professional tools like project management software. They are useful in community because they allow you to easily engage with others in conversation. Maybe your technical director can solve a lighting issue that someone's having and you want to bring his attention to it. Or maybe you found an older thread with an item available for rent and you want to know if it's still available. That's a really easy way to just call someone's attention to it. Participation notifications were the other feature that I mentioned, and they help you stay aware of community content that specifically applies to you. They're email notifications sent in real time that are separate from your community subscription, so separate from the daily digest that you get every morning. They're triggered automatically, or you can choose to be notified. The automatic notifications will trigger an immediate email when someone replies to a post you created, and it just lets you know that you received a reply and provides a link to the post. This saves you from having to revisit the thread over and over to check on the status. That was something our members constantly provided feedback to me about. You know, they wanted to just know when someone replied, which is a completely valid suggestion. So I'm so thrilled that we have this available. And also, if you post an answer to someone else's question, it sends you a notification if anyone else provides responses after that. So it keeps you engaged in the conversation. And you can also choose to manually subscribe to any topic. So if there's a topic that you don't necessarily want to contribute to, but you do want to see what the answer is or what happens with the situation, you can choose to follow that thread or that person even. This will send you a notification whenever new responses are added. Finally, I wanted to mention our community app. This is almost a secret, and whenever I tell people about it, they're really surprised that we have this app, but you can have all of the answers in your pocket anywhere you go. You just search for Theater Education Community in your favorite app store, and you log in with the same codes you use for the EdTA website. And then you can easily scroll through discussions, libraries, and blogs just by swiping your finger. I also find it really useful if you use the contact feature in Community. This allows you to pull up your list of contacts. You just click on a person's name, and if you want to email or call them, it's one click. It's very simple. And then before we move on to the next slide, Josh, can you tell us something that you value or appreciate the most about the community?
Oh, gosh. I think that without ever actually meeting any of these people face to face, I've made a lot of friends in the community. That there's people that like, even without knowing what the post is, if I see it, they've posted something like, oh, cool, what's that person up to? And we get to kind of celebrate the successes and support the challenges of everyone as they go through their season and their school year with their students. And I think it's really cool to be able to provide something to a theater student in another part of the country, just from my little chair over here in Alabama, by reading what other teachers are struggling with and being able to offer my own perspective. I think that's really valuable.
That's amazing. I just want to say, I hear often from theater teachers it can feel like being on an island because you don't really have peers at your school, like the science and math teacher may feel like a peer. And the whole idea of an association is bringing people together who can be better off by being together than on their own. And the way you just described that is such a wonderful example.
This is that. It is exactly that.
Yes. So one of the ways that I think we've kind of created this environment of support and helpfulness is just by kind of keeping some guidelines together. And I wanted to go over a few things with you to help you maximize your participation. As you know, there is an art to communicating in the digital age. For example, who knew ellipses could mean so many different things to so many different people? It seems that every new platform has its own set of guidelines. So I'm just going to share our best practices with you to help you find the answers that you need as quickly as possible. So the first thing that you should pay attention to when you're writing a new post is your subject line. Using the word help as a subject line isn't the best idea because it doesn't tell anyone what you need help with. Think about how you interact with the community posts that you've seen. Are you more likely to reply to one with just a generic call for help, or does something with a catchy title on a topic you know something about catch your eye? Also, subject lines are easily searchable. So you want them to tell the story of the post in a succinct and efficient way so that others can find it later on when they have the same question. Josh is an awesome example of how to write solid subject lines. For example, some of his are, favorite ticket vendor, questions about building a theater, or 10-minute companies. Those all told other community members exactly what Josh needed and helped him find answers quickly. If you want to receive a response, be sure to ask a question. No one can help you if they don't know what you need help with. So providing a little context about why you need an answer can also compel others to respond, especially if they can relate to your situation. An online discussion forum is a place for a quick exchange of information. So try to limit your post to about a paragraph in length. And when the situation is resolved or an answer is determined, make sure to post an update and thank those who have helped you. You can even use an @mention. Remember that this can help others in the future. So it's helpful to have the situation documented and as well as the results. Again, Josh is a great example of how to write a discussion post. He asks a clear question and provides a sentence or two of background information, and it helps others understand the importance of getting an answer, as well as conveys any sense of urgency if there is one. The next important thing is to just be an effective community member. Remember that this is a public professional forum full of teachers, students, and theater professionals of all experience levels and backgrounds. Represent your best self and be respectful of others. If a student or administrator saw your post, would they be concerned? Tone is not accurately conveyed through text, as I'm sure you know. So be cautious with sarcasm, capitalization, and punctuation. Participating in a community is all about building relationships and connecting with others, and the relationships are formed when there is an equal share of give and take. So if you're only visiting the community when you have a question and ignoring all of the other questions in community, why would someone help you? Maybe challenge yourself to try and help another person and then ask your own question. With new topics that come up every single day, something is bound to come up that you have experience with. And if you don't know an answer, maybe you know someone who would. You can tag them and ask them to respond. Hey Josh, can you think of an example of a time that community has helped you, either in your career or maybe solve a problem in your theater?
Ooh, well, you know, anytime I post a question, I get a bunch of great answers. I remember one of the topics you said that I'd posted recently about 10-minute comedies was really useful to me because I had a student who was struggling to find something to direct and, you know, was daunted by all the stuff that was out there. So I went to the community to ask for a little help, and I got some specific recommendations of some specific plays. I had other people who responded with resources they used to select plays that were not on my radar, so I was able to broaden my search. And I also was contacted through private message from a couple of people who didn't want to advertise themselves in the public forum, but that had some of their own work that they wanted to suggest might fit my need, and was able to get a couple of great plays into my hopper that way.
Fantastic. That's a great example. Then I wanted to share some new community programs with you. These are some additional ways to get help in your classroom or at an event. Our two new programs that I'm really excited about are Mentor Match and the Teaching Artist Directory. Any EdTA member can sign up to be a mentor, or a mentee. Mentees choose their mentor based on what area of expertise they want to learn more about, and also a specific professional goal that they are trying to accomplish. Mentors help mentees accomplish that professional goal by providing advice, feedback, guidance, or resources. The pair can agree on how often they meet and as well as their communication style. So it can be text, in person, by email, over the phone, whatever suits your needs. Next, we have our Teaching Artist Directory. It is a great way for teachers to bring theater professionals into their classrooms or to teach workshops at an event like a chapter conference. The directory is mainly made up of teaching artists who have taught workshops at EdTA events, but anyone can sign up and offer their services. This is a great way to find a specialist in an area that maybe you're not so familiar with, like puppetry or stage combat. If you don't know a lot about those subjects, this is a great way to bring in a professional and expose your students to a whole new area of theater they might not ever have gotten to learn about. Finally, we'd love to take some questions live today, but if by chance we run out of time, or if you think of something later, or if you're watching this webinar on a recording, feel free to contact me. There's my email and my phone number. I love to help new members or old members with any aspect of community. So feel free to reach out to me anytime.
Thank you so much, Ginny and Josh. We have a couple questions.
Oh, good.
The first is, so you've talked about finding some individuals that you think are really helpful. Is there a way to reach out to those people directly or follow them so that you can be aware of what else they've got out there to offer?
Yes, there are a few different ways to contact individuals. If you see someone in the community posting that you'd like to get in touch with directly, you can hover over their picture and a little pop-up bubble will appear. and it'll give you the option to just go right to their profile page or to send them a message through the community. Their profile page will give you their email address or any other contact information that they've made available, or you can send them a private message, or there is an option, if you really like someone and really value their advice, there is actually a way to follow individuals through their profile page so you don't miss a post from them. You'll be notified every time that they post.
Excellent. And then another question is the members on the open forum are getting the daily digest every day, but has heard that there's other communities besides the open forum. Can you talk about those other communities and how do you get to be a part of that?
Sure. Open forum is definitely our largest community. That's where most of the action happens. But there are some smaller communities available for anyone to join. If you go up to the community tab in our blue navigation bar and drop down to browse communities, that will bring up a list of any option available to you. And it's not going to show you something that you're not allowed to join. It typically just narrows it down to what groups are public or what groups you can ask to join. But there's one specific to middle school theater. There are groups like the Membership Advisory Committee that are open to the public if you're really interested in helping guide our membership team. So take a look and see if there's anything there that interests you.
Great, thank you, Ginny. Well, we are about at the end of our time, so I want to give a big thank you to Ginny and Josh for joining us and for sharing all this great information. And this webinar will be posted on EdTA's YouTube channel, so it's available for anyone to watch. And it's the first in a series, so I hope that you'll come back and see some of our other webinars. We'll be doing this monthly and learn more about EdTA and your membership and some of the people in our association. Thank you so much. Any last words, Josh or Ginny?
There it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, we'll be signing off. Until next time, thank you.
Thank you.